Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well. My name's William. This is a set of Corsa Competition, and today we're going to be driving the Honda NSX GT3 EVO around the Nurburgring. As always, today I'm going to have a setup for you and a hot lap as well. In the setup, there will be some tweaks and adjustments you can make to the car to potentially make it a little bit more suitable to your driving style. If you don't like it exactly the way I had it set up, there might be some good information in there for you to tweak it to better suit you and make it a little bit more comfortable for you to drive around the track. Um, I haven't really spent a whole lot of time in this car, so we're going to see really what I can do and try and get it on par with the other cars, at least around this track, and um, hopefully as well make it comfortable and predictable for y'all to drive. So as always with this, if you like this video, give it a like. It helps me out a ton, and I really do appreciate it. I hope you all enjoy this. We'll go ahead and get on into the hot lap, and then I'll be back to talk to you over the setup. Enjoy. Alright, that was a hot lap around the Nurburgring in the Honda NSX GT3 EVO. Managed a 154.1. Definitely a 153 in this car. That lap had just been a little bit cleaner. Go ahead and take a look at the timetables here. You can see outright purple sector 1, slightly off, just under a tenth in sector 2, and outright purple once again in sector 3. Overall, sector 1 was pretty good. I had a little bit of understeer in sector 2, cost me honestly I think a little bit more than a tenth, and then sector 3 felt pretty good as well. So a little bit more in it for me. Definitely think I could scrape into the 153s. Someone with more talent for sure getting into the 153s in this, which is pretty cool. I've struggled in this NSX, so it's nice to at least get it comparable to the other cars. Taking a look at the setup now, I always, or as always, started with the aggressive preset, and this is where I wound up. So went down on the cambers all the way around. I think you could definitely play with the ranges a little bit, but the spread front to rear feels really good. Just about almost a degree, 0.8 of a degree difference between the front and the rear. I did run it higher. I wouldn't go any higher than 4. That's where it starts on the front of the car. It just didn't really seem to benefit me at all. And then on the rear of the car, uh, about 2.8 to 3.2 felt pretty good around here. I'm still getting the acceleration and traction out of the corners I was looking for with good mid-corner grip. This is definitely more focused on keeping the car kind of under control, um, under braking and under acceleration on corner exit. But if you want a little bit of that mid corner, just bump that up and then go ahead and bump the front up as well, just a little bit to kind of keep that balance. The electronic side of things, I was running a little bit more traction control um, than normal. You only get 8 settings, I believe. Yeah, 8 settings on the traction control, and just found personally I was needing a little bit more help from the electronic aids in this car. Uh, when the turbos spool, it can get pretty tricky to keep the rear tires gripped up, and uh, a lot of time in this car I found was actually getting the car spooled and ready to exit the corner. Um, so just not having to manage that so much with my foot and letting the electronics take over was helpful. So don't be afraid to run a little bit more traction control in this car. In my opinion, anyways, it helped me out quite a bit. Um, the brake pad compounds front and rear are on two. Onto the suspension stuff here. I lowered the brake bias. It's pretty typical. As always, I lowered it pretty far down, 54.6 compared to where it started. Um, I think a really good working range is about 55.6 to 54.6. So if you want to go a little bit higher, a little bit further forward, you definitely can with it this low. I do think you need to be a little bit careful on your downshifts, especially second to first. I almost lost the car on the hot lap you saw, going from second gear to first gear in the first sector. The car got a big slide and a lot of rotation, probably because I locked up the rears at that moment on that downshift. So um, don't be afraid to increase it a little bit, but ultimately, I think it is pretty darn fast with it low like this. Um, Other thing is just decreasing the stiffness of the rear anti-roll bar and the wheel rates all around. Really, really help kind of make this car a little bit more tame, a little bit more predictable to drive. Especially the wheel rates, it just felt too stiff all the way around. And then getting the rear anti-roll bar, I did run it a little bit softer. Um, I think it was just too much understeer with it soft, and not quite a stable aero platform either. So a good kind of meet in the middle of still keeping a nice balanced platform and getting the rotation I wanted from the car, from the mechanical side of things there. Onto the dampers. Not really a whole lot to talk about here. It's not really drastically different than where you started, just kind of fine tuning and tweaking it in to get the car a little bit more balanced and a little bit more predictable over the curbs and on turn in and corner exit. Uh, Feels really balanced to me. It is still a little bit bouncy in some places, but pretty much every car's been that way, and you can sit and tweak these dampers for days and days and days and days, but this feels really, really comfortable and predictable, most importantly. So it will still kind of step out and get you if you mistreat it or overdrive it a little bit, but um, once you kind of figure out what it does, it replicates it at least, so you can kind of understand the car. Onto the Aero side of things, I didn't touch the front right height. Well, I did. I tried lower. Um, it just really upset the car. It made it a little more unpredictable, especially in some of the curbs I like to smash around here. So I just went back to 56. Increasing it just seemed to make the performance worse overall, and it didn't really add any drivability for me. So keeping it there on the rear, I did lower the rear. I tried a lot lower, got a lot of understeer, a lot of rear grip, but a lot of understeer. And ultimately, I wound up going back towards around where it started at 80 millimeters. Um, I I was running it at 75 for a while just to kind of get an idea of what that balance was like. Um, and on 14 wing, um, it was still pretty understeery, especially through the Schumacher S with that balance. So I went ahead and increased the wing to 10 or to 15 and started working the ride height further up once again to try and get a good balance through the high speed corners. Um, 76 is a little bit safer, so if you're wanting to make the car just a little bit safer, go to 76 millimeters. If you still need it safer, you can drop it down even more, but just a click or two does make a pretty big difference in my opinion. 77 ultimately is still a little bit on the understeer side. If you're getting your turn-in points right and you're not overdriving the car. Um, so if you are wanting it a little bit more aggressive, you can increase this just by a click or two, and it does, like I said, these ride height adjustments, it might seem, it is a really small adjustment, but it does make a world of difference. Just going one click or two clicks more on the ride height can really change the balance of the car pretty substantially. So anyways, that is the setup for the NSX GT3. I hope you guys like it if you give it a try. I hope it makes it a little bit quicker, a little bit more predictable, maybe a little easier to drive, but at least more predictable and a little bit quicker than the baseline setup. So if you do give it a try, as always, giving this video a like really does help me out a ton, and I appreciate it. And feel free to share this with any of your racing buddies or any of your competitors or anything like that. That's what this is all about anyways. So let's see some more NSXs out there in the races and putting down some competitive lap times too, hopefully. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Thanks so much for all the support, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye bye.